So what I've done here is I've just removed the kind of gnarled bits that were in here. So this was originally from a fan, basically, like a house fan, and then there was some sort of like plastic thing that was like ingrained onto this. So as you see, I've just removed that below the diameter of the outside, which is 0. So it's about 8mm, give or take. This now, meaning that I can slip this through a bearing, is now 0.5. It's like 0.54 smaller. So the inside of the actual compressor wheel, which this is the compressor wheel that's for it's for a car. We've got the inner diameter of this is slightly larger at 8.1. So actually by shrinking this, if anyone can tell me what sort of screw this is, very happy. I need to figure out if I can get a bolt for this, or whether I need to cut this, or I need to make a new shaft altogether, because essentially it's like flat at the end. But yeah, so this slides into here. It's actually a bit tight. And then the idea is, so I'm actually going to try and make a turbine wheel out of this. So I'm thinking I can, down here, I've tried to buy some bits for milling. So actually can't actually get it through here. So you can see I've got here, down here, I've got an indexing, or an indexer. So the idea would be I would try and index this like that, mill across to make a blade shape, and then move the index and kind of make all the blades for this, and then kind of bore out the inside a little bit. Once that's complete, actually weld this inside there, and then we'd have a full assembly for the rotor. And then that would then slip through with this on top. So we'd have, so this needs to be cleaned up, but you'd have the compressor wheel would sit in this. This needs to be bored out and a socket for this made, so that fixes in there, and then you've got the bearing on that side. Then I've inset the space for the bearing on this side. We then have an assembly that begins to form. So now hopefully this should fit all the way through, now that I've trimmed it down. It's not, it doesn't go through, it's, oh, there we go. That would go in like that. We'd then have that would be fixed in and centered, and then that would come out the end, and then so the actual rotor would go on the end of here, and then once I have a solid kind of like a solid kind of core, I can then build all of the kind of combustion stuff around this center part, along with the kind of like the stator at the end, in order to force that, force that vapor, or the combustion into that rotor, and then obviously that would work as a normal engine. So you'd have this would spin and it will compress the air. A cone needs to be made up here, and then that would compress the air into here through channels into here, and that would then go through the combustion chamber into the inside. We'd have some fuel rods with like a fuel manifold that needs to go through here, and then that will then combust and force that through the rotor, spinning this even further. So whether or not this kind of like makeshift jet would actually stabilize, I've seen people use gas to start it off and then introduce the fuel. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm not like a mega professional. This is like hobby learning stuff right here. So we'll see how this goes. Once I have this this part working smoothly, I feel like you could kind of, you know, you can the inside is just kind of about optimization, because once this spins smoothly and you're able to transfer energy from the fuel back into another rotor, you know, I feel that part's going to be, you know, it might not be very good in terms of like thrust or whatever, but I think it will work. And obviously a casing will go over that, and then probably through here somewhere I'm going to have to feed in some sort of wire to do this fuel manifold. That's going to be like a ring that sits in here. I mean, let me get the makeshift one. I'm going to probably remake this, but it's going to be this sort of thing. So you've got like a ring like this. I don't know if this isn't the one. So here's this 3D printed ring. So for illustration, let's just add that on so we get a better idea. So we've got that. So we've got the air forcing through the channels here into here, will then force into, yeah, this isn't the correct one. The combustion chamber. This one's like another makeshift one, but it's essentially like this. It's like a drum with holes. There is some maths that I found online that you can do, and it's to do with the ratio of like the surface area of this compared to how many poles you have. So probably I'll do a look into that, and then the next one of these that I build, I'll try to make it like, you know, roughly how it's supposed to be. So through here, I'll then have some kind of fuel type rod type things that I have here. So I've got this material, so I'll probably maybe cut this into 3, and they'll be fed into here, and then the manifold ring will go inside and sit at the back. I'm going to try it so far. So I've got this kind of like thin brass rod. I've seen people use syringes, but essentially it will be these brazed onto a copper ring like this, and then that will then kind of sit behind it and be inserted inside. Other parts that I've got. I originally did buy like the other half of a car compressor, but it's not quite the right profile. I did see there's that famous kind of, I I don't remember where he's from, the Eastern European, and he takes one of these and he removes each blade and then re-welds it with a TIG welder onto a ring, and then like normalizes the steel. I think that's going to be a bit beyond me. But yeah, it's a shame I couldn't find like a larger version of this, but essentially this is what I want to make out of that steel disc with the rod that I had. So the material, I've got this stuff, which is what I'm going to try and use to make the next combustion chamber. And then I've got a tiny spot welder, which I'll use to assemble the whole thing. So yeah, well, I guess that'll do for now, like micro update.